Hi, my name is Sarah Guindre-Parker, and today I want to share with you some of my research. And so I'm interested in how organisms cope with life in unpredictable environments where it's really challenging because you simply can't anticipate what you're about to face. And so I started working on this thinking about the superb starling system. These are really social birds of East Africa that happen to inhabit some of the world's most unpredictable environments, these savanna ecosystems where rainfall is unpredictable from year to year. And that influences when they can expect to find food. It also probably influences predator populations and also possible disease pools. And so I studied these superb starlings across a gradient of conditions or of habitats where rainfall predictability varied. So some of these sites are really predictable in that year to year rainfall is very consistent. And some of these sites are really unpredictable where you simply don't know what you're going to get from one year to the next. And so along this gradient, I wanted to understand what kind of coping mechanisms might differentiate individuals across these sites. And one of the main results that emerged from this work was this finding that animals in the least predictable habitats, here on the x-axis, that's towards the left-hand side, mounted stronger glucocorticoid stress responses on average. And so these stronger responses might help animals cope with sudden stressors that they're more likely to encounter. But of course, we know from individual work or within population studies that mounting stronger stress responses is associated with possible costs. And so I was interested in understanding whether these populations that experience stronger stress responses because they live in these unpredictable conditions might experience greater costs as a result. And so to study this, I actually used a path analysis, and I hypothesized that the predictability of the environment, as well as intrinsic factors about an individual, would shape the glucocorticoid stress response that they mount. And in turn, those stress responses might explain variation in oxidative stress, in bacteria killing ability, or in malarial infection status. And so what I actually found is that there was no correlation between the glucocorticoid stress response and anything else. Rainfall predictability was the strongest predictor of variation in all these other physiological systems. So what I actually found is that in unpredictable habitats, animals maintain higher body condition year round. In unpredictable habitats, animals also experience greater oxidative damage or oxidative costs. And so the ratio of reactive oxygen metabolites to antioxidants is higher. I also found, similarly to body condition, that in unpredictable sites, animals seem to be having higher bacterial killing abilities. And so when exposed to a standardized strain of E. coli, they have higher killing ability. And then finally, malarial infection status or the prevalence of avian malaria was higher in unpredictable sites. And it was also more likely in unpredictable sites that animals had co-infections. And so together, these results actually suggest that we don't see physiological costs of the stress response that we've seen before in studies that look within an individual over time or within a population. And so this doesn't seem to scale up when we look across multiple populations. But what about behavior? So one thing I mentioned about these starlings is they're really social. They live in big groups. They have cooperative care at the nest. And we know those things are important. Being in a bigger group improves adult survivorship, for example. And having helpers at the nest appears to reduce the costs of reproduction associated with caring for young. And so compared to a pair breeding species, the glossy starling, where oxidative costs of reproduction are experienced over a single breeding attempt, superb starlings of any breeding role, helpers or breeders, don't appear to have a similar cost. And we know that social behavior likely changes across that gradient of conditions that we have been working across. And so next, I'd be interested in future work to better understand whether behavior might mediate the relationship between the unpredictability of rainfall and all of these other physiological systems, including avian malaria infection status. And I'm also really curious about whether these links that we see within an individual or within a population between social behavior and infection status also scale up across populations. With that, I'll just thank all the folks that contributed to this work, and I look forward to chatting more.